I cut too much weight. I fell over dead. My heart stopped for 5 minutes, and it does really suck because I would like to fight again.
Welcome to the Lion Killer Podcast, where I interview the fascinating people that helped make my first feature film, Lion Killer. I'm Derek Fury, the writer and director and editor of Lion Killer. And today on the show, I have our bad guy, our villain, our antagonist, the legend, Mr. CJ Hancock. How you doing today, CJ?
Good, bro. How you doing?
You went from training in Arizona, then how'd you get to Houston and get involved with MMA?
Well, at the time when I was living in Arizona, there were no fights. The only fights that were around were on Indian reservations, and they weren't even sanctioned, and they didn't do blood tests or anything. So I was like, yeah, no.
I've been to a few of those.
I could have smashed a lot of those guys because they would guys just tough bar guys fight. You know what I mean?
Well,
I could have destroyed these guys.
Not only tough bar guys that just didn't go there to fight, that were in the bar. You know, I've been at some of the fights like that on the reservations where, you know how it is, not everybody who's supposed to fight shows up. And so you might have two fights.
Make a quick replacement.
Yeah, you're like, hey, does anybody here want to fight? And there's always some guy who kind of quickly realizes once he hears that cage clink, you're tough around your friends, buddy. You know what I mean? You're not tough around regular killers. People,
but seriously. Dude, when I started jiu-jitsu, that's a funny story. When I started jiu-jitsu, I thought, I was like, I know my shit. I'm good. Like, you know, I wrestled, I did judo, you know what I mean? I've done a bunch of different martial arts. I'm like, I can do, and I'm big. I'm like 260. I can do this. Oh man, I got murked. I mean, I went in there and my first day, I probably got tapped 100 times. There was this 150-pound purple belt who was just using me like a friggin' ragdoll, man. I mean, he was literally doing whatever he wanted. I was like, what the hell, dude? Like, I did not realize I was so defenseless. Like,
and that's what everybody says. Even, you know, I teach kind of right around the corner from where you teach. I teach in Katy as well. And, you know, the main thing students, like adult students especially, come up to you, adult males especially, they'll be like, man, I had no idea. I had no idea how helpless I was, which is kind of a scary thought to think, look, I walked around for 25 years thinking if the stuff went down, I could handle it. And now I realize if a guy just gets on top of me, I'm done. And then you see guys get really into it because they don't want that feeling anymore. They want to know that. So jiu-jitsu is really great for self-defense, but before you even get to the self-defense, there's the eye-opening stage, the stage where you realize how helpless you actually are. And I think that's an important part of you admitting that and then going, okay, now how do I get good?
Oh, yeah.
So you started jiu-jitsu in Arizona. How'd you get involved in the community here in Houston?
Okay, so that was the story. The reason, because I wanted to fight, and there were no fights in Arizona, so I ended up moving here because this was like you know, there's like fights here there used to be like fights almost every other weekend. You know what I mean?
Did you take any smokers?
At least like once. Huh?
Did you take any smokers?
Yeah, I did. I did a bunch of smokes. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that with. With Matt, because Matt did one smoker back in the day when I was explaining to people that a smoker is basically a gym will throw a fight, invite other gyms, and they'll match their people in similar weights and similar skill sets up against each other. But really, what it is, it's a way to get experience before you even go into the amateurs, and they're called smokers. And really, they're unsanctioned, you know, but they're really probably fall under sparring. Like you're inviting another, but it's kind of a gray area because a lot of times they're charging.
I think the state in Texas, they're charging at the door, and sometimes they even charge the fighters. That I think the state said that we're not allowed to do smokers anymore. So gyms are still doing it. They're just calling it hard sparring night or whatever.
Yeah, they always have.
Yeah, they just reworded it, but it's the same. It's the same thing.
So you did a few smokers?
Oh yeah, I did probably 5 or 6 smokers before I took my first amateur fight, and I did really well. I won all of them, and some of the guys that I had smokers against were already amateur fighters. With,
Oh, they were.
with fights and with,
No, that's a little that's
yeah.
a little bit
I
shady.
don't have a problem with smoke. Yeah, for real, right?
Yeah,
But
you
that goes on a
shouldn't go
lot.
up then come back down. Yeah, you should go smoker,
Yeah,
amateur, pros. You shouldn't come back up and down from that.
that's what I did. Yeah, that's what I did.
So then, how did you get hooked up with Legacy?
So I fought. My first fight was for SDC, and I ended up getting a light heavyweight title with them. But how I got with Legacy was I had a couple friends that were fighting for him, amateur, and I started fighting for them amateur, and I actually fought for the amateur title. I lost the split decision, which was kind of bogus because I feel like I won that fight, but it's whatever, you know what I mean? But and I thought so at the end of the fight, this was something weird. They usually don't do this, but they had me and my opponent, and they were like, "All right, crowd, who do you think won this fight?" And I thought for sure, I was like, "Well, I boxed because he sold like a lot of tickets. He had he had like one whole section filled up with his friends and family or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, that's great. I'm gonna lose," but they were louder for me. I was like, "Whoa." You know what I mean? And I was like, maybe I'm going to get this. And then they get this.
Then the judges go a different way, yeah.
Yeah. But then, so after doing that for a while, I got 2 light heavyweight titles, one for SEC and one for Cage Combat, which is Eric Garcia's promotion. He's got Fury Fighting Champion.
Yeah, now he has Fury FC, yeah.
Yeah. And he's got Texas Submission Hunter Pro too. He's doing really well. And he used to be a fighter himself. That's probably why he's doing so good. But I've actually trained with him. He's not bad.
Yeah.
What was I talking about? Oh yeah. And so once I got those 2 titles, I got my pro debut with the Bellator, and I won that fight. And then I started fighting for Legacy.
Now, you've talked pretty extensively about the issue you had. Did you want to go into that with why you stopped and why you retired from MMA?
Yeah. Well, I was I'm stubborn, and I.
Long story short, he died in the ring. Everybody, spoiler: he died in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I cut too much weight and I fell over dead. My heart stopped for 5 minutes, and it does really suck because I would like to fight again, but I'm suspended from fighting in America. So I don't know. I might end up going and taking a fight in like Canada or Mexico or something. I got offered a fight in UK. They didn't want to pay me. They said they paid for everything, like pay for the plane ticket and the hotel and getting me back and forth. And I would have actually done it, but I had so much shit going on at the time I couldn't take it. But yeah, I mean, I've been checked out, and I've had lots of competitions and super fights, and honestly, like a competition where you, as long as you don't cut weight, the cutting weight is what really screwed me, and I should have learned that the first time I cut to 170 because I lost to the guy in the 3rd round, and it was a referee stoppage, and but
right.
But that's no excuse. I mean, this guy was. I mean, I was having a hard time fighting him, and it was because I was completely dehydrated and like delusional. You know what I mean?
So did you feel it going in?
A documentary.
When you went in, did you feel? So you cut so much weight in such a short period of time
until I started fighting.
Okay.
Yeah, because like when I was walking, I mean, I felt like crap, but you usually feel like crap. You know what I mean? When especially if you have to cut weight. But it didn't really kick in until I started fighting and clinching and stuff like that. My body wasn't doing what I was telling it to do. But for instance, the guy so I cut to 170 one time before this last time. But that time I had more notice. I had plenty of time to make weight. I dieted it down. It was perfect. But he ended up coming in and being the bigger guy, which is weird because I'm way bigger than him now. But so fighting him that night was extremely I was like, man, how He's this good. You know, it was like that hard. And then he came and trained with us at West Chase, like 2 months later at my natural weight. And I took him down. I threw him. I tapped him like 20 times. I was like, and I realized then I was like, man, I need to stop cutting weight. But you know, I'm stupid. I've never turned down a fight. And so when I got offered the fight again at 170, I was like jumped on. I was like, oh yeah. And they're like, how much do you weigh? And I was like, I lied. I think I said I was 200 pounds, but really I was like 230. I was like 220
230 to 170. There's no way you can do that healthy. There's no way in that period of time.
Oh yeah, and it was pretty short notice too. I think they let me know like a little less, like 3 weeks before the fight, or a month. It might have been a month. It was either 3 weeks or barely a month. I think it was 3 weeks though. And yeah, dude, I made weight and I killed myself doing it. The doctors were like, how the hell did you do this to yourself? We've seen people that were lost in the desert for 2 weeks who were in better condition than you. I sucked up 8 bags of saline. And that's another thing. I've never done saline after a fight. You know, like some fighters use saline to rehydrate. I should have did that. That probably would have stopped my heart. That probably would have kept my heart going. Because when you drain your body of all your electrolytes and potassium, that's literally like the stuff that your brain and your body needs to have electrical impulses to fire off and send signals to your heart to pump your hands to move, you know, and I should have learned that from fighting at 170 the first time, because I mean, when I took go to take him down, it was like I couldn't even, it was a joke, forget about it, like, you know what I mean? But then when I went to take him down, when he was training with us at the gym, it was like easy as pie, you know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, man, I knew that, and then I still took the fight anyway. Fucking idiot. I don't know why, but you know, things happen, and maybe this is for the best, because you know I'm in that documentary now, and hopefully a lot of people see that, and hopefully things change and they stop weight cutting. I think when you do it for a really long time and you do it the wrong way, like I did it, your body can take it less and less and less. Because I remember my first amateur fight, I think I cut 20 or 25, 30 pounds, and I did it in like 2 days, and really mainly 1 day, and I made weight, and then I came in there. I was way bigger than the guy. I felt great. I smashed him in like 60 seconds. But the problem is that if it goes past that, say it goes into the second round, you're done. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're getting gas and feel like garbage.
So you survived, luckily. What they do? They brought out the defibrillators in the ring, brought you back.
Yeah. Yep.
So that happened.
And then it stopped again.
And then he still wants to fight.
It stopped again, and the ambulance made him hit me with it again. Oh yeah. Of course.
So then you and I get hooked up, and I remember I was doing a web series called Uncaged, where I interviewed local fighters. I think you were still fighting at that time. That hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And I had you on the show, and not only are you an interesting guy, you know, with a lot of skills and a lot of ability, I remember that you were very open with like, hey, if you're shooting anything, I want to be a part of it. You remember that? You remember saying those things? Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I tell people that, because people are always like, hey, I want to be an actor, or they might send people email me their reel and things like that, and you reach out to people and you say, hey, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, this date, and people are, you know, it doesn't work with their schedule. So what that does is you completely get written off. You really don't get a second chance, because, you know, in film and production, content creating, everything is, time is of the essence, and you really can only, if you got a core group of people, you know, you can depend on. It's like fighting. If you got training partners, you know, will be there, and you got one guy who's a skilled guy, but you know, his girlfriend wants him over here, and then his job wants him over. You're not going to call him very often when it's time to train, right?
Right.
So the fact that you were like very, very honest, like, hey, and I remember I reached out to you, and you made sure you were available. So
yeah, I remember that you called me, or you texted me, and you said the guy backed out last minute, and you're like, you know, first you asked me, you said, are you working? And you're like, well, if you got to work, you know, don't worry about it. And I was like, I don't give a shit. I was like, I could get another job. I was like, and they didn't care anyway. I just told them I wasn't coming in, and they were fine. You know, my jobs love me. So, And I don't even work there anymore where I worked at the time. But yeah, I was like, no, I'm not. Fuck that shit. Like,
Well, see, I want people to understand, because I remember specifically you telling me, I don't care if I have to work, I'll make time. That's a
that's
big
right.
deal. That's a big deal because like shooting a micro budget feature film, um, you really got to have actors that are committed and that are going to stay the course. Because as you know, as we got deep into production, you were involved with a lot of long shoots, you were involved with more of the scenes that were physically demanding with no AC and a hot gym. You probably lost 30 pounds. Hopefully I made sure you were hydrated that day. But I mean, we shot in some pretty grueling situations. And if you got anybody that's like half in, or, hey, it's a good idea, I want to do this acting thing until it gets kind of uncomfortable and tough, then it would ruin everything. So the fact that you were like, hey, I'm going to do that. I remember the night we shot the big final fight scene between you and Matt's character, Michael. I believe you had to work that night, and we kept going a little longer, and a little longer, and a little longer. And you're like, oh, don't worry about it. We need to get the scene. You know, and that in a nutshell is indie filmmaking, because you can lay out a plan. We're going to come in at 7 and be done by 6 p.m. Good luck with that. It's probably not going to play out like that. So I appreciate you being really easy to work with. Now,
yeah, no, man, I had a blast. I enjoyed every minute of it. And honestly, I feel like I could have done better because, like you said, I was still working full time, and sometimes I wouldn't get out of work until 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and then have to be there on set at like 9 a.m. And some of the times I felt like even though I never said anything because I don't I loved it. I enjoyed it even though I was tired. But man, some of those times I was exhausted. I was like a zombie. And but
oh, I was too, man, because a lot of the times, we had shot all
I
day the
know.
day before, got home 4 hours of sleep. I'm back on set an hour before anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, but yours were.
It was.
I understand what you're saying, because yours were physically demanding. So then to have to perform jiu-jitsu and MMA and fight scenes can get pretty tedious. Now,
no, it was fun. I would never say it was tedious, even when we had to do the same scene over and over again. It was still fun.
Yeah, and people don't realize. So I mean, it might be a 2-minute fight scene, but we probably shot that. It was half a day in Texas in the summer in a warehouse gym. It's uncomfortable. No AC.
No AC.
Because of audio. So you're also credited on the in the film as fight coordinator. And I know this is a micro budget film. It was run and gun, but we would get together, and I know I would have an idea. Hey, this is what we need to accomplish, and I'd kind of hand that over to you to speak a little bit about your thought process, because it was real quick. You'd be like, okay, well, let's do this and this and this. What was your thought process when I'd say, hey, can you figure out this fight scene?
I thought that was really cool because not only did I get to act, but I got to help make the fight scenes, and I was really excited about that. I think the initial one was, I think the one we did for the preview. I think that was probably, and I came up with that like that, and that's my favorite one. I think it was so smooth, it was like boom, boom, boom.
We ended up redoing it in the actual film as well as part of the. It was like Michael throws a punch, you duck under, hit him in the gut, get behind, rear naked choke. Yeah. So we did that originally for the crowdfunding trailer, and then used it again in the actual film. But then there was also, like, say, the actual big fight with you guys at the end, where you and Michael have your showdown. And I know that was a night in particular that was kind of a grueling, long night, real sweaty, real hot. And I said, hey, this is what needs to happen. I don't want to give it away because I want people to have the opportunity to watch Lion Killer on Amazon Prime and Tubi. But what were your thoughts when I said, hey, we need basically these are the beats we need, bop, 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 bop. And then you kind of like took it and ran with it.
I just wanted to make it look as cool as possible. But I also knew that Matt, you know, he actually did really well. A lot of people thought he had more jiu-jitsu training than he had. But I also had that in mind that I can't do some really fancy, you know, complicated movements and stuff like that because, you know, we needed to put something together that we could both do that would look good. And like, you know, jiu-jitsu practitioners would see it and say, oh, that's cool shit, but not, you know, too advanced to where where he couldn't do it without making it look like he knew what he was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I know with me, I wanted all the fight scenes to look very authentic. I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of the John Wick films, but this isn't like a John Wick stylized, high budget action film. This is more of a realistic, gritty approach. So, like, wanted to feel like, what's it like when you're rolling with somebody, and maybe that person is going way too, you know, basically maybe that person has bad intentions. So I know you working with Matt and then putting the choreography together. For me, like, authenticity was paramount. It was very important. How do you feel about how it came out, how it represents jiu-jitsu?
I love it, man. I think it really does a good job of representing jiu-jitsu, and it's more like a little bit like more like old school jiu-jitsu. Obviously with the, you know, the rivalry and the arm breaking and
no
but,
worm guard and lapel guard.
Right. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's true.
What are some of your most memorable moments on set?
I'd have to say when we were doing the competition and I was talking to a student behind his back, that was pretty funny. But that was cool having like our own little competition. I mean, it was not a real competition, but you know what I mean. It was cool, and it was basically like a real competition because you had the medals, the belts, and all that stuff. And
yeah, shout out, you know, shout out to Rick from Texas Grappling Challenge. G-Fats, look for his album.
Yeah.
G-Fats.
So you know, I'm in his music video, Knuckle Up.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. So what we're talking about is a mutual friend of ours, but also he's a local tournament, throws BJJ tournaments. He's also a rapper.
Good ones.
Yeah, he goes by the name G-Fats. But what he did was he brought his whole trailer full of gear that he takes to tournaments to help us stage the tournament scene. So when you watch the tournament scene where Maxi's in the tournament and you're there coaching from the sideline, all the medals and the what do you call it? The stage where it's first place, second place, third place, where you the blocks you stand on, the podium. There you go. The podium, the backdrop, everything was donated by G-Fats. So do him a favor and check out his music on iTunes because he's a good guy and he loves jiu-jitsu and he's
good too. I like him. He's like more like 90s rap, you know? I like it.
Yeah, it's old school gangster rap, like when gangster like Houston rappers like Gangster Nip and Ghetto Boys, stuff I grew up on, you know. So I dig it.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
So any other memorable moments? Like what stands out, good or bad?
Well, I mean, what I really enjoyed was being like, you know, pampered like a king. You know what I mean? That was pretty cool. Like you had all your helpers, and they were like wiping the sweat off my head and like fanning me down. Hey, you want something? Bringing me something to drink. Bringing me. I was like, this is fucking cool. I was like, I could get used to this.
I remember at one point.
I really enjoyed that.
I remember at one point. I looked over, like in between, because it was hot, and Matt talked about this a lot too. People would have fans, and they would towel them off, and they did that for you as well. But I remember at one point, I looked over, and they were like, somebody was toweling, like two people were toweling you, but somebody was pouring Gatorade in your mouth, and you were just, you had your mouth open, and they were just pouring Gatorade into your mouth. And you was like, it reminded me of like someone putting grapes in the mouth of Caesar. You know? I'm like, man.
That's true. That was awesome. That was I enjoyed every minute of that.
So never let it be
Cool.
said, actors don't get treated well on a Derek Fury set.
All right.
We treat our actors well, and we feed them well.
Yeah.
And we do
Yeah.
everything we can, because this is we're trying to make a movie with a limited budget, and we're trying to make it authentic. So to get a good group of people and everybody gets along, and you treat everybody well is, I think, really important.
Yeah. Now was like the perfect time to promote it because everybody's stuck at home. I know a lot of my friends watched it and they like it. And so.
Yeah. So, what did you learn from working on Lion Killer? What are the lessons you learned?
I learned that I love acting.
Looking tough. And action. All right, guys. 1, 2, 3. Team Finger on!
Did you not realize that? Did you think it would just be something cool to do, and you really enjoyed the craft of it, or what?
Yeah, I wanted to give it a shot, and I didn't know how I would do, and I think I did okay for my first try, and I realized, because we had long days, and I never once was like, oh, this sucks. You know what I mean? Like, when sometimes you're at work and you're like, this sucks. I don't want to be here. I never once had that feeling before, during, or after working on the set of Lion Killer. It was I enjoyed every minute of it. Everybody was real cool. All the people were cool. Your helpers, and that one dude, he was hilarious. I follow him on Instagram. I can't remember his name.
Kevin,
yeah, he's hilarious. He's always cracking jokes, and then that other dude was funny too. But it was I definitely. I also learned that how much work goes into it. You know what I mean? And it made me appreciate it. I've always been a movie lover. Like I have, I see your collection behind you. I have like a freaking wall of like every movie I've ever, a ridiculous amount. People are like, why don't you just watch Netflix? It's like, I have Netflix, but I have so many good movies. It's not on Netflix. It's not on Hulu. It's not on Disney. It's not on any of that. You know what I mean? So some movies you can't, you could download them, I guess. The quality isn't as good, I don't think. But I've always
something about
movies.
There's something about owning things.
Yeah.
There's something about being able, be able to tangibly touch and hold something.
And that's another thing. I don't like scrolling through and, I like going through my movies and picking out a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like looking at the cover.
Yeah.
I like going through and looking at them, picking one out,
Yeah. Pretty soon you won't be able to play them, but yeah. Yeah. So you realize it was a lot of work?
Huh?
So you realize filmmaking was a lot of work?
Yeah. I realized how much work goes into it. You know what I mean? Because for a small scene, I was in the movie a little bit, but I think I was on set a lot. You know what I mean? Like, to do one scene, you pretty much, it's like you do it a bunch of times and then in a bunch of different ways. And I saw, so it makes me appreciate movies more. You know what I mean? Like, when I'm watching a movie, even if I don't like it, I'm like, well, a lot of work went into this movie. You know what I mean? And so I appreciate them more. And then the movies I really like, I really appreciate. You know what I mean? It just makes you realize like how much work goes into a movie, like say like Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? That must have been that was like what, 10 years in production or something like that.
A lot, yeah. Well, just an epic. But to me, it's a lot like you say 10 years. It's interesting because I was about to bring up. It's like getting a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If you just tell your friend that maybe never trained BJJ, I'm a black belt, they have an idea of what a black belt is because their nephew has a black belt in Taekwondo or karate that may have taken them 3 to 5 years to get. And really, 3 to 5 years going 2 to 3 times a week, 1 hour. Whereas getting even a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, most of those, you got a purple belt in Jiu-Jitsu, most people that do it 2 days a week probably never get to purple belt, I would say. You really got to be on the mat, putting in work to get a purple belt, brown belt, black belt. By the time you get a black belt, it's 10 years. So
Yeah.
it's a lot like making a movie. I went and spoke at Houston Community College and did a timeline from when I wrote the script to when we were distributed, and it was right about 5-6 years. So it was 5-6 years of not just part-time work, but 6, 8, 10, 12, 14-hour days pushing towards one goal, which was to make this movie Lion Killer. And that's pretty, when you think about it, it's pretty incredible. I think most people, if they really understood that, wouldn't pirate movies. So yeah, if you're out there, just please watch the movie either on Amazon Prime and Tubi, Tubi TV app. Amazon Prime is, of course, if you have a subscription, it's free to watch. Tubi TV is a free downloaded app. You can watch it there. But yeah, a lot of people's hard work, not just mine. People like CJ. So anything else you learned? You want to do any more films in the future?
Oh yeah, I've auditioned for 2 films since then. I didn't get the part.
I think a good thing for you, I mean, if people, there's a lot of stuff being shot here in Houston, like get in is kind of like the, you know, kind of like Terry Crews. Hey, he got in kind of like doing background, tough guy in the background, then you got a line or two, then you got, you know, some leading roles. So I would say take what you can get.
Down for that.
Yeah, take what you can get.
Yeah.
You know, work with Terry Crews. And I mean, if you watch Breakin', watch Breakin' 1. Van Damme is in the crowd shot when they're breakdancing in, you know, in Venice Beach. He's just a guy in the background, just having fun. So the whole thing is, man, and this is what I tell people, the whole trick is to get on set. Get on set, have a great attitude like you always had every day, shake people's hands, tell them, hey, if you got anything, I'll always be available. And really, but the whole trick is to get on set. Yeah. But I know you've got a great look and you're a great guy to work with, so I'm sure it'll open up. Do you have any last words you want to leave the viewers / listeners of the show with?
If you're if you have any, it's not just jiu-jitsu. If you have any interest in any kind of martial arts, this is a movie that you're gonna like. You know what I mean? And it's not just that, but it also has the domestic violence awareness and the love story and whatnot. Like, so I mean, it's good for everybody. And yeah, like Derek said, you know what I mean? Watch it on Amazon Prime or Tubi.
Yeah, Tubi TV.
Amazon Prime or Tubi. Yeah. So that way, you know, we get, you know, some credit, not, you know, because if you steal it, if you pirate it, then, you know, nobody even knows that you watched it, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't move the needle forward for anybody involved, but especially for, you know, the jiu-jitsu community. There's not a lot of content for us, by us. So to have a movie that's made from people who love and appreciate and participate in jiu-jitsu for the jiu-jitsu community. If you're out there and you're part of that community, please talk about us online. It helps everybody involved, not just myself, but CJ as well. So I just want to thank you for coming on the show today, man. I appreciate your time. And once this COVID is over, we'll have to get together, man.
For sure, bro.